Hi, within this section, we're going to focus on automatic tools, and we're going to use that automatic tools in order to gather more information about website pen testing. So far, we have gathered our information about vulnerabilities manually. In the previous section, we have seen how to find vulnerabilities regarding SQL injection, for example. And this time, we're going to use a tool that will do everything for us and find the vulnerabilities and also exploit them in a way that we can gather all the database information with one single command. This tool is called Sqlmap, and within the following lectures, I'm going to focus on another tools that we can use for website pen testing as well. And you will see how actually it is easy to find vulnerabilities and exploit them using this tool. By far, you already know how to use Nmap and Multi-Ego, but we didn't use Sqlmap before, and this tool actually comes pre-installed with Kali Linux, so we don't have to even bother with installing and using this tool. So I'm using Metasploitable and Kali Linux on the same network, NAT network, and I can ping to the Metasploitable machine, and I can reach to this Metasploitable machine dashboard by just writing its IP address. And in my case, it is 10.02.5. If I click the Matilde, it will open for me. As you might remember, we have tried to gather information using SQL get method from this section, okay? A1, injection, SQLi, extract data, and user info. So we have worked on this page, and we found some vulnerabilities regarding the name and the password inputs, and we managed to hash out the rest of the command and run only the parts that we want to, and we manipulated the URL in a way that we can get access to the database. And we found these vulnerabilities using some manual techniques. Now let me show you what happens when we use a tool. So suppose that I don't know the admin password, and I will give a regular password, random password as 123, and of course it will give me an authentication error because I specified password as 123123. Now if you copy all this link from here, we can use it in our Sqlmap tool in order to find out about the vulnerabilities that we can use. So copy this, open a new terminal, and write Sqlmap. If you hit enter, you will see that Sqlmap is currently installed, but it actually asks for some parameters. And one of the first parameters it will ask is the URL, and we have this URL to supply in here. So I'm going to say -u, and with a space I'm going to pass all the link. I have to surround this with double quotation marks because this will take this input as a string, as a text, okay? And then I'm just going to hit enter, and it will run these tests for me. So let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see it better, okay? As you can see, it is actually trying to find the vulnerabilities. So we see all the logs in this terminal. For example, it's tests for get parameter in page, and it says that it doesn't seem to be injectable. And when it finds something, it will alert us that we have found a vulnerability. If you want to continue, say yes. If you don't want to continue, say no, kind of thing, okay? And yeah, we got our first message. It says that the backend DBNS is MySQL. Do you want to skip test payload specific for other databases? Yes, I don't want to deal with other databases at this moment. I'm just going to focus on MySQL. And it says that, do you want to include all tasks for this MySQL? And I'm going to say yes also. And it found a vulnerability. It says that get parameter username is vulnerable at the bottom of this page. So at this point, you may want to continue testing other vulnerabilities as well. And in that case, you should say yes. And if you want to continue with that specific vulnerability that we have discovered, you should say no. Okay? And I'm happy with this result, so I'm going to say no, and it will exit out of that tool because we already have found the vulnerability. Now we can inject some SQL commands into this database. In fact, you can read the description and you can try to manually inject your code as well at this point, but I'm going to show you how to do that automatically with this tool. So if I want to get the details of databases, I can run this with a new parameter called DBs. So it will show me all the databases that are inside this SQL. So if I want to select a new database, or if I want to display the current database that we are working on, I can use another command. And in order to do that, I will run the command one more time. I will run the Sqlmap command one more time and add some new parameters. And I'm going to do that every time I want to get new information. So you have to use your arrows and just run the same command. This time I will say current DB and it will give me the result of OWASP 10. After that, I may want to continue with the OWASP 10 or choose another database, and it is possible to do that with another command, and I will say -- tables, and I have to specify the database name, and in here I will say OWASP 10. So it shows me the table names of the OWASP 10 database. Now I see this credit card data. And in the previous section, we managed to retrieve the information from credit cards table. So what did we do? If you remember, first we got the column names of that table. Okay? And in here, we can do that with command also. So let me run this one more time and delete this stuff from here. And I will say columns, -- columns. And of course, I will have to specify the table name. Okay, so -t credit _ cards. And the database was OWASP 10. So if I hit enter, I will see the column names of that table. So right now, all I have to do is just dump the data regarding this table. Okay, I know everything about that table at this moment. So let me run this command one more time. So rather than getting the column names, I will just get all the data regarding this table. So I will specify the table name as credit cards and database name as OWASP 10, but I will say -- dump. And as you can see, it dumped all the data that it could find. So we now see the CCV, credit card numbers, and expiration dates in here. So as you can see, it is pretty easy to run SQL injections using that Sqlmap tool. So within the previous sections, it took us like 9 lectures, okay, in order to retrieve this information, but this time we managed to get it done within minutes. So this is very efficient tool. This is very good tool. If you want to try for Sqlmap for other commands, you can always run Sqlmap -- help and read the descriptions about the other stuff, other commands that you can use with it. So we have seen most of them, but it is pretty useful to read the documentation before you try and test in other databases, other websites. So we're going to stop here, and within the next lecture, we're going to focus on another website penetration testing tool called Zap.